Welcome to Borak Projex, your favorite project management podcast, where we go beyond project charters and charts and deep into the minds of program and project management icons and leaders. I am Alex Zulkarnain, your host and fellow project practitioner. And in this podcast, we will talk about project management. It's brought to you by PXP, Project Excellence Partners, your trusted partner in project excellence. In every episode, we will sit down with real builders and champions of progress, the Otais, the sorcerers, the superheroes of project management world, to unpack and learn what it really takes to deliver projects successfully. No fluffs, just real talk. Straight from experience. Are you ready? Let's bring it on. This special guest of Borak Projex is a leader in project management. Known him a few years back when he was the president of Project Management Institute, or PMI, Malaysian chapter. He is a project management consultant, an advisor, and a judging committee member of PMO Global Awards, with more than 35 years of experience. Now it is my honor to introduce Encik Krishnan Srinivasan. Welcome.
Good afternoon, J. Alex.
I think we call ourselves bro, okay?
That's
okay?
fine.
Bro Krishnan.
Absolutely fine, no problem.
Okay, we go santai-santai. Relaxing is just a conversation. Anything goes on project management and projects. So tell us a bit about your background.
I think the surprise for our audience today is that I'm actually an accountant by background. And that's already a bit of a surprise for people. But I only got involved in what I will call pure project management when I did the boot camp when I was working with Dell 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So after that, I become immersed in project management, and I think the following year I got volunteered into leading the Project Management Institute chapter here in Malaysia. And one thing has led to another. You mentioned the PMO Global Awards. So that's one of my strong advocacies at this moment in time. But more to the point, I see project management, and I used to say this very, very often when I was chapter president. Our mothers, our greatest project managers, we shall know. And I suspect a lot of people say, my mother? Are you sure? I can elaborate on that if required. But more to the point, I see project management as a key nation-building skill. Everyone requires it, particularly our students. I volunteer that I was a poor student. Had I known what project management has to offer, I might have turned out to be a much, much better student.
Interesting. By the way, where are you from?
That's a good question. So I'm actually Malaysian, so that probably throws a lot of people because they expect Orang Putih to be sitting here. I'm fluent in the national language, and I challenge people by saying, you're not fluent in bahasa kebangsaan, you keluar dari negara saya. So that's a little bit controversial, but I believe that as a Malaysian, in order to communicate with our fellow nationals, it doesn't matter whether they're Chinese, Indian, Malay, Kadazan, Iban, Daya, whatever it is, if you have command of the national language, then it's very easy to communicate with people. An interesting thing about communication is that project management, a lot of people don't realize this. Project management consists more than 90% communication. We can dig into that a little further along, but that's something that's very real. So I was born in the United Kingdom. I didn't answer your question, I beg your pardon. I was born in the United Kingdom. I'm of mixed parentage. So my mother was English, my father was Malaysian, but of Sri Lankan descent. So that's a little bit of my background. And I currently reside in Penang. In fact, I just drove down this morning. This morning's drive was a little bit painful, but I'm here, so on time, thankfully. But yeah, and just to add a little bit of spice to things, I often bully fellow Malaysians, and I say that I'm more Malaysian than they are. So you might ask that question, why do you say that? Well, in Malaysia, we have 14 states, the 14th being Wilayah Persekutuan. And I say, I've lived in 10 of the 14 states. So often people will ask, which states haven't you lived in? And when I tell them Kedah, Perlis, Kelantan, and Malacca, that's when people are stunned into silence because they realize that I've actually lived both in West Malaysia as well as East Malaysia, and in East Malaysia, both Sabah and Sarawak. So that's a little bit about my personal background.
Wonderful. What about your hobbies, Mr. Krishnan?
I would say that the hobby that I won't call it a hobby, but the thing that I spend a lot of time on is actually networking. If anyone was to look in on my LinkedIn profile, they'll see that I actually have something in the order of 15,000 followers, and that's global. And that's been built over the last 18 years, ever since I first got introduced to both Facebook and LinkedIn. But I'm a prolific network. I continue to add people as I come across them. Of course, one of the things that I've actually done is broken the cardinal rule, which is you don't invite someone into your network unless you've personally met them. A lot of my network actually is in the project management world. I am a global volunteer with the PMI GAC, the Global Accreditation Center. You may want to probe that a little further. We have 6 universities in Malaysia that are GAC accredited. So the youngsters, even the working adults who are looking at project management might want to look at actually going to one of those global accreditation center accredited universities here in Malaysia.
So what makes you what made you go into project management, make it your role?
I've had a lot of time to reflect, and I did not realize that when I was at university, must be 40 odd years ago, I did a subject called operations management. And a lot of it covered scheduling, critical path analysis, PERT, and so forth. And I happened to adjust to it like a duck to water. It was one of those subjects that I actually shone at. Like I said earlier, I wasn't a great student, but this is one subject that I happened to excel at. I think that if it was much later, the tutor may have actually taken me to a side and said, listen, Krishnan, do you know that there is such a thing as project management? Maybe that's the pathway you should actually pursue. In the event that didn't happen, it's only afterwards, when I got heavily involved in project management, that I was able to reflect, and I realized, my goodness, I've been doing project management since 1981. And even after that, my first job was in audit. And every single audit that I did was a project, define start, define finish, a unique situation that we were dealing with. So the penny drop when I was doing the boot camp, those of you who embark on studying for the PMP, the Project Management Professional, will actually find that there's this thing called the boot camp. And the first lesson you get is this definition of what is a project. And I went, oh my God, I've been doing projects ever since the word go. Now, often we are accidental project managers. I would consider myself an accidental project manager. And if we are any good at whatever it is that we are doing, it's coming more as a courtesy of common sense than actual training. And there is an adage, and this is another controversial comment I'm going to throw in, is that common sense is the least common.
Indeed. So what makes you one of the proponent so inspired in project management through PMI? You were the president of PMI at one point.
I first came across PMI, or PMP to be more specific, in 2005. I was working here in Kuala Lumpur with a company called NCR. Those of you who use the ATMs will recognize the three-letter abbreviation NCR. It's an American company. They produce ATMs and many other self-service devices. And at the time, we were bidding for a very interesting project. It was for Malaysia Airlines, and it was a global upgrade, IT upgrade of all their equipment, devices, both locally as well as overseas. And what made it really, really interesting was that it was 300 sites in 60 countries. Rarely do you actually get an opportunity to actually go and play with something like that. I use the word play, and that's of course playfully, but you have to use your wits to actually A, secure the project, and B, deliver the project as required. And I'm pleased to say, not only did we win it, we secured it, and then we maintained the equipment thereafter for some years. But that's on my CV as one of my accomplishments, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of it particularly because in a multinational like NCR, normally the projects come from you. It'll come from a BMW or a Mercedes or whatever it is that they want to do, whatever it is that they want to do. But here was an opportunity for us to take a Malaysian multinational, in this case MAS, and take it and get it to a world-class standard in these 60 different countries. I'm a patriot at heart. I mean, I said earlier, right? I'm more Malaysian than you are. And you say, what? But I'm actually a patriot at heart. So this was an opportunity to take pride in delivering Malaysian Airlines system. Now, one of the things that Malaysian Airlines wanted us to do as part of the contract deliverables was to have a PMP lead that project. I took a look at it at that time. The company was not sponsoring us. It was a bit rich for me to actually go and spend money. Today, I take a completely different view. If you are not prepared to invest in yourself, why should someone else invest in you, i.e. your company? So I'm a strong advocate in do what it takes, beg, borrow, or steal to get this certification. This certification, the PMI certification, and I apologize, you are the leader of IPMA, but my stripes, if I can call them that, were actually earned in the PMI stable. And I'm a very, very strong advocate of people actually getting certified and use those certifications not just for work purposes, not just for the pay rises. And the pay rises are interesting as well, because I often congratulate people and I'll say, hey, bro, congratulations, you've got your PMP. Do you know your market value has just gone up by 16%, at least 16%. Now, you may not work out in your existing organization, but if you look out, I know of people who have actually obtained adjustments of 40, even 50%. Now, I will challenge anyone who says money is not important to me. And I always use this. I'm right now. I'm working with some 8 mentees, helping them to prepare for their PMP exam. And I say, what's in it for you? Not what's in it for me. What's in it for you? And for me, what's in it for you? The best way of me actually demonstrating that, apart from the skills and knowledge that you'll acquire, is actually here is a tangible outcome of actually doing this certification. If I'm not wrong, today we have about 7,000 PMPs in the country. My opinion, having looked at data, is that our country has a capacity for another 37,000 PMPs. So the training space is not a place that's limited per se, but we need to make people aware of the value of project management. I get particularly excited with project management because I actually see this as an opportunity to eliminate waste. Too often we hear about failed projects, and too often, as a result of those failed projects, a lot of resources are wasted. Now, the conventional resources that you hear about are money and time, right? But what about the people? What about the materials that you've put into that project? What about the equipment that you've used in that project? There's a myriad of resources, and in my opinion, all of those resources are scarce resources. So we should use those scarce resources judiciously to deliver successful projects. A lot of my thoughts around waste, in particular, stem from the time when I actually worked with a French company. It's called Vivendi. They have a waste management outfit. And the project that I worked on there, and I didn't know I was working on the project, was a business analyst on that particular project. This was in London. So well before I knew anything about PMP, it was a £1 billion private finance initiative. And I got to see firsthand what actually happens behind the scenes in garbage. Now, if I told you I'm in garbage, that's a complete turnoff. But at that time, it was easy for me to change gears depending on my mood and say, I'm in the green segment. So today you hear about green project management, for example. And by the way, I'm actually interested in doing what they call GPMB. Guy behind it is Joel Carboni. And I think you've probably met him. I never got the chance to meet him, although he did come to Petronas and present a few years ago. So you can see how diverse my interests are, and I gravitate towards my interests. I would challenge most young people that if you're not concerned about the environment, something is not right. Okay, I'm past my sell-by date. Okay, for what is worth, I'm 64. I'll be 65 next month. Okay, so I'm past my sell-by date. But if I'm now talking about the environment, green project management, and sustainability and elimination of waste, I think you need to sit up and reflect on what's your purpose of being here.
Interesting. I don't have to ask questions. I get a lot from you. Thank you. So what do you think the state of project management in Malaysia? Are there a lot of gaps?
I think there's a lot of gaps. And the first gap is because I said there's capacity for 37,000 PMBs. Okay. The gaps are varied because a lot of us end up in project management because we are good at our technical skill. Let's just say you are an engineer. Let's just say you're a mechanical engineer. I'm just arbitrarily pulling something out of the bag. Huh? Let's just say you're a mechanical engineer and you are doing your job very, very well. Now, the organization that you work for is a projectized environment, okay? It may be that you're working on some sort of M&E in a building that's going up, for example. Okay, and you're very good at what you do. A new project comes along, your boss catches you and says, Krishnan, please go and look after this project. What the boss doesn't do is to actually equip you with the skills to be a good project manager. Sadly, our education system is so monomaniacal. It's purely focused on the technical skills. It's not focused on the business side of things. It's not focused on the soft skills or what we refer to as the power skills. What I'm doing right now is communicating to all of you. That's one of the power skills that's out there. But in any setting, you'll come across conflict. You'll come across negotiation. You'll come across how do you put a team together. And no matter how good you are, there is no such thing as getting the perfect team unless you have the opportunity to handpick who sits on your team. And as an employee, most of us don't have that opportunity. We're just thrown into the deep end, and we have to work with whoever it is that's down there. And if if the cultural mix doesn't jive with you, the values don't jive with you, you're already going to have conflict. How do you manage this situation? So there's a lot more to it than immediately meets the eye. We often hear about failures. I don't know enough about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway as a reference. You've heard about stadiums' roofs collapsing in Trinidad, right? That's a waste of resources. Why is that happening? It's probably because an accidental project manager was put in charge. There's a very, very good global example. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Sydney Opera House. If you've not heard of it, I'm sure you've seen images of the Sydney Opera House. That's a classic example of project failure. Now, PMI actually does surveys, and I'm not sure I got the exact figure, but it's somewhere in the order of 11 to 12% of projects fail. Now, I use that 11, 12% figure and I put it in the context of, let's just say we've got $1 billion US dollars for projects in Malaysia. That's roughly 5 billion ringgit. If you've got 12% wasted, right, it's $600 million ringgit. Okay. Just imagine what you could have done with that 600 million ringgit, not for other projects, just for social good. There's lots of people, you go down Batu Road, there's people there who are homeless, starving, or whatever else it is. Can't we build some homes for them? Can't we help to feed them? Can't we teach them how to help themselves? And so on and so forth. That's just 600 million ringgit on 1 billion US dollar worth of projects. I'm sure we do a lot more than that in our country. I think government could actually benefit in a massive way because they spend massive amounts of money on developmental projects, and often the projects are not up to scratch.
I heard the word accidental project managers a few times. Therefore, should it be a foundational learning for everyone, even at the fringes, to know or to appreciate project management?
I said early on that my mother was perhaps the greatest project manager I would know. Okay, and I would argue that applies to everyone. Our mothers never had formal training, even little bits of it. They operated on what I call common sense, but they delivered whatever it is that they delivered. Now, often people fail to understand what is a project. When you throw that question out, I believe if we did a survey and asked the general public, what is a project? They say, itulah KLCC, Twin Towers, itu project. Merdeka Tower, itu project. Bridges in Penang, itu project. It's all big, it's money, and it's engineering. But for me to come here today is a project. Okay, it's a defined start, defined end, and there's some defined output that will come out of it, and it'll be unique. I'm sure you've had many speakers before me, and you'll have many more speakers after me, and each one will bring a different perspective to the table. So for me, everyone actually needs to know some basics. You don't have to get certified. That's not the point of my comment, okay? You need to understand what is project, okay? You need to understand some basics. Like you mentioned charter in your introduction. So those of us who are running projects professionally, we will ordinarily have a charter. But if you're building your own house, for example, right, you need a charter. If you don't have a charter, how do you get all the stakeholders in on the idea of putting up your house, whatever it is? It can be a simple house, it can be a complex house, it doesn't matter. But that's just one of the things that you need to have a charter. So how do you put a charter together? That could be as basic as it gets, right? I spoke about conflict negotiation, those sorts of things, communication, even. Let's just say the house suddenly is not going up as you planned. Now, how are you going to manage that? We start talking about something called stakeholders. Now, often we don't understand what are stakeholders. That's wider. And I normally use the PESTLE acronym to identify the stakeholders, so that I understand who it is that I'm talking about. But it's very wide. It is not just you and your family sort of situation. It could involve the bank, it could involve the income tax, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Building the house, and it's not just the builder. So it's wide, but we need to have some basics. You don't have to have a certification. If I'm not wrong, PMI actually has something called a very, very low level entry level. I can't remember the exact title, so forgive me. But if you'd like to find out more, please reach out, and we'll get the exact title to you. For working purposes, there's something called CAPM, Certified Associate and Project Management. This is something that I personally am working towards that certification. You're probably wondering, why are you working towards such a certification? You're already PMP. You're the chapter president. You're sitting on the global board. What is going on here? It is because I believe that there's such a deep need for, especially the student population, and I'm talking about university students, because if you graduate, let's just say it's an engineering degree, the mechanical engineering. So you've got BEng. Now you go to and apply for a job. And there's two of you there who are shortlisted, right? One without the CAPM and one with the CAPM. I'm almost certain that because it's a projectized environment, to make the offer to the CAPM. So this is now about employability. This is what I call what's in it for you. Not pay the normal 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever the going rate is. There'll be some premium. Maybe it's a 10% premium. And so instead of 3,000, I'll pay you 3,300 for your trouble because you've got the CAPM. Why would they do that? Because you're already speaking the language of project management. And it's easier to bring on board someone who knows something about projects rather than having to train someone from scratch. You will have a very senior engineer, let's just say he's owning the business, right? And he's got none of this project management certifications. So he's running his business based on his experience, okay? It's not to say his experience is bad, but if there's mistakes there and he's unaware of the mistakes, he's going to end up with potentially a failed project. And I'm sure, with all due respect, he doesn't want to have a failed project because if he's the owner of the business, it's about his capital. So he's not going to lose his capital if he can avoid it. So probably the thing that I would encourage such people to do is to actually look at how they can participate in what I will call lifelong learning, continuous education. And this is one of the beautiful things about PMI. I didn't say this early on in my so-called introduction. Anyone looking at my profile will actually realize that I did my first degree in the United Kingdom, I did my master's in the United Kingdom, I did my chartered management accountancy in the United Kingdom. So theoretically, people will look at me and say, you're a thoroughbred British graduate, for want of a better word. PMI is American. How come you've gone and thrown your all in with the American system? And here's the beautiful part about PMI. It's not just getting a piece of paper which has PMP written over it or CAPM or whatever other certification is all over it. Each time every 3 years, you actually have to renew your certificate. And they advocate you actually having to get what's referred to as PDUs, professional development units. Okay, it's the equivalent of CPEs or CPDs, depending on which discipline you belong to. And what they ask you to do is not just to do the technical stuff that you already know everything about. They expect you to do at least 8 hours on the power skills, at least 8 hours on the business skills, and at least 8 hours on the technical skills. So here is where someone could actually, a senior person could actually benefit, right? You may have been deep in the trenches with your technical stuff. I often kid and say the computer guys, right? They love their toys. I think the engineers are probably no different. They love their toys as well, right? So what more? Let me play with my toys. But in order to play with your toys properly, you need to know how to engage with other people, right? And projects is all about people. Whether you like or you don't like, it's all about people. Otherwise, no need to have a team around you, right? And it's also all about business. There's no point in you doing a beautiful project and losing your shirt. So that's how I would go about addressing this. You don't need to get certified, but you certainly need to be familiar with the whole thing. And this is a nice entry point to what my current hobby horse is, and that's project management office. One of the things I'm currently working towards is actually a project that didn't happen. 7-year project, 1.5 years of development work. That's not happened. And they waited for the project to come to its natural end before they've asked someone to come in and consult on what's wrong, how do we fix it, what do we do type conversation. And for me, that's very wasteful. So I'm actually keen to actually find out more about this particular project. And that'll be an interesting project to actually get my teeth into. And it'll be an opportunity for me to not only help to address a sick project, hopefully we'll be able to resuscitate the project. Now, we're able to do that, or at least I'm able to do things like that because of the experience and exposure that I've had. It's not that I'm an expert at it, just because I'm able to look at things through a different lens. I'm not sure I've answered the question.
Yeah, kind of. And more. Another question, bro. What's your take on are the root causes of a failed project, other than the fundamentals of project management?
My first thought to address that question is it revolves around the stakeholders. It may not be the direct stakeholders. Okay. Let's just say there's a political influence. Okay. Certain people want things done in a certain way or within a certain time. So it revolves primarily around the stakeholders. So there's personal interests, and the project manager cannot deliver what's being asked for without compromising the standards that he's been trained on. Okay, so that's just an example. Here's my thought on it as well, how to address it. Now, I just spoke about projects. There is 2, if not 3 different approaches to projects. When we're talking about construction, often it's what they call predictive or waterfall project management. And that's probably a little bit easier to do because you know step by step what's expected. Okay, it's a bit like a recipe, putting a cake together. I'm simplifying things. That you need to put in whatever materials it is, and then your cake will come out. So a building is probably no different. But there is another area that's become a lot more I'll use the word sexy, okay? People seem to think that agile, this is the other approach. Now, you can use agile in a different context. Now, one of the principles of agile is that you allow the people who are doing the projects to actually self-organize, you empower them to take the decisions. Now, that means that the outside guy, the boss or the politician or someone who has a personal interest in the project cannot come along and tell you how to do whatever it is that you need to do. If you allow the experts to do what they are experts at, then chances are the projects are less likely to fail. Now, there's a third approach, and it's called a hybrid approach, where you mix. This would probably be what I will call a complex project. So there are some things which are suited to the agile approach. When we start talking about agile, we start talking about minimum viable product, MVP. And you're talking about quick wins. What is the low-hanging fruits that you can actually get out of there? Now, agile is probably greater suited to the software environment and probably even the mobile apps environment. It's not to say it can only be done there, right? Like, I'll just use my own example. Coming from Penang to here, I had to be allowed to make my own decisions as to what time I left at, what speed I took, and so on and so on and so on. And depending on the circumstances, I would adjust. So when I looked at my ways last night, I knew I had to leave at 10 o'clock in the morning to be in Kuala Lumpur by 1:30. When I got on the road, first of all, I was 10 minutes late. Okay, thankfully, I knew I had 1 hour buffer. So 10 minutes, no big deal. Until I looked at Waze and I said, oh my God, now I'm going to arrive at 2 o'clock. Have I got time? What if something happens along the way, an accident, the road gets blocked, whatever it is, rain, okay? I need to be able to make a decision on the fly. That's agile. Make the decision on the fly, adjust and come. Now, very fortunately for me, in spite of the very heavy traffic for a Friday afternoon, or Friday morning to be more specific, I was able to get here for 2:15. And at one stage, I was just knocking on the door for 2:30. It was 2:24, 2:25, 2:26 as I was watching Waze go along. And then very fortunately, I arrived here at 2:15. So if I was not given that power, I wasn't empowered to make those decisions, I'd be in a lot of trouble. Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe bro Alex would have said, you better take a plane and come, huh? Or you should have taken the train and come. Maybe both of those are not suited to me. And I'll be upset, and then I don't perform. So the agile approach, and I like this idea of being empowered. Let the experts do what they are best at. Let them get on and do whatever it is that they are going to do. You've already paid them. Let them do what they need to do. It's difficult when the environment is, or even the culture for that matter, is to kowtow. Then all of us bend over backwards to deliver it, and then we take some shortcuts, and something awful happens. So it's difficult. We live in what I will call a deferential society, because that's our culture, right? So sometimes, in order to deliver whatever it is, we may need to actually bend the culture a little bit. Of course, they need some education as well, and that's the hard bit. How do we twist and get him to play ball with us?
Okay, I don't know whether that's a good example or not, but the point taken.
I had to refer to something. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it's about influence. Huh?
Yeah.
So often, as a mere employee, a mere project manager, we don't have that power. And actually, a project manager should have a lot of authority, responsibility at his disposal. If he doesn't have it, he's not going to be a good project manager.
Yeah, I've seen it with strong PMOs where they are actually running the project instead of the project manager. Yeah. What about ideal project manager? What are the attributes of an ideal project manager?
You heard me mention accidental project manager. So those are people who are experts and accidentally thrown into the deep end, no skills, and they end up failing. Now there's yet another group of people, and I kind of touched on it, and that's what I call the technical project manager. They are very, very good. They're civil engineer. They're very, very good at whatever it is that they are doing, putting up structures or whatever it is, but they have no idea what are the people skills required. They have no idea what are the business requirements. And they will go and get stuck in a place that's not a nice place to be. Okay. So for me, it's not so much about you being an expert technical manager. That's not what's required. It's more about having the skills to facilitate. So things like coaching skills, being able to have people skills, social skills, those sorts of things. One of the things we will read about, and I would imagine that a lot of us actually practice it, is at the conclusion of the project, we celebrate our wins. Huh? We go out, we makan, we have a tea or coffee or whatever it is that we do, and we celebrate our wins. Now, someone who's stingy upstairs will say, "Why are you spending money enjoying?" Okay, but it's actually a way of actually appreciating everyone on the team. There's a lot more to be said for how we appreciate our team members. And the team may not be just those 3 or 4 people who are actually heavily entrenched in it. What about all the other subject matter experts that came into the project? Bring them along as well, because they also will enjoy the pat on the back, albeit some kway teow or teh tarik or whatever it is that we are dishing out. So that's probably one of the things that we need to look at in detail. But for me, the language or the way I refer to such people, they're actually expert facilitators. They facilitate. They may not know how to do procurement, but they know how to find someone who's expert at purchasing. They know how to find someone who's expert at putting an RFP or an RFQ, whatever it is, together. They know someone who knows the law so that they can actually write the proposals out accordingly. They're not lawyers. They're not procurement specialists, but they know how to find these people. Okay. And often, if you're working within an organization and trying to get such skills out, it's difficult to do. So then your influencing skills come into play. How do you talk to that person's functional manager and take him or her out for a few days or a few hours or whatever it is to do whatever it is that's required of the project? So for me, you need to be a facilitator. The people who will actually be good project managers are people who like change. I think I'm suited to project management because I've had so much of variety, and it started in audit. The numbers of clients that I attended just blew my mind away. I've been in shipping, I've been in plantations. When I say plantations, cocoa, rubber, palm oil, tin mines, oil tanks, going to BP and doing the dipping of the big storage things, all these sorts of things, banking, funds, so much of variety. And I think the reason I enjoyed my audit days was because I had so much of variety. It was something new to look forward to. Projects are different, okay? No two projects are identical, right? So yeah, you finish this project, you go into another one, you have fresh set of challenges. And often the fresh set of challenges is because of the people, because of the business that is running that or expecting that project to be delivered. So if you like variety, I think project management could be a place where you actually grow and thrive.
So, in summary, an ideal project manager is good in soft skills, influencing, facilitation, stakeholder management, perhaps, and love changes.
That's my take on it. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, what advice do you have for the young project practitioners, especially our audience here, on project management?
Well, I already said earlier, right? Go and get yourself certified. Okay. If you're not sure about certification, then what I would encourage you to do is to go and take a peek at a projectized environment. The best place for you to go and take a peek is when you do your internships. That's probably the best place to do it, because no one's expecting anything great from you as an intern, right? You can afford to make a mess of things. I mean, I said this to my son recently. Said, and he's already working. He works for Maybank, and I said to him, you can afford to make mistakes in your 20s. You cannot afford to make mistakes when you're 30, 40, and 50, because it's a career killer. So the best place is in your internship. So if you're unsure about what it is that you want to do, be brave. And that's another thing that project managers need to also be good at. They must be willing to step into the unknown. If you're one of those persons who is not comfortable stepping outside of your comfort zone, project management is not for you. You are not going to be successful. But I would argue that stepping out of the comfort zone is equally important, regardless of whatever it is you want to do. All of us, especially the youngsters, want to go to the top, right? Now, you need to take some risks. And taking the risk means stepping out of your comfort zone, right? So these are probably a couple of things that I would encourage you to do. I think there's far too many people who are frightened to take a risk. And probably the hardest risk of the lot is not going with your peer group. your peer group is pulling you in a particular, in a particular direction, and you are not playing ball and doing what the peer group is doing. You need to realize that your life is yours. It's not someone else's. So go to the things. And again, when I speak to my children, and I've been doing this from more or less the time they fell out of the cradle, is if you're going to do something you're passionate about, okay? Because if you are passionate about whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be very, very successful. It won't be a job anymore, okay? And I use this expression. I say, if you're going to be a gardener, be the best gardener you can be. Now, that in our cultural setting, when we talk about gardeners, we tend to look down upon those people. And the reality is this: whether you're a gardener, whether you're a drain sweeper, whether you're a street sweeper, right? They are all doing socially valuable jobs. The fact of the matter is that they are not rewarded adequately. Okay? But if you didn't have the garbage collectors, what's going to happen? You're going to have flies running around in your house, you'll have disease on the streets, and so on and so on and so on. These are all socially valuable things. So, my advice to the youngsters: go and be the best gardener you can be. It's in inverted commas. And just to take that a step further, if you're a really great gardener, you'll become what I call a landscape gardener. And the tycoons around the country will come looking for you because they heard, this Krishnan fellow is very, very good as a landscape gardener. You can't go wrong. And they'll pay top dollar for whatever it is that you're doing.
That's your advice to the younger project practitioners. So we move to the next segment, Bro Krishnan. Okay, this segment is called Rapid Fire.
I hope you're not having a gun.
Too many tools? Not enough clarity? Planoly is the no-code platform built for every workflow. Automate tasks, align teams, and move faster. Planoly, built to work your way.
I'll give you two words or two phrases or two statements, and you choose one. For whatever reason, it's okay. There's no right and wrong. And you may explain why you choose it, or you may opt not to. It's okay. And there's no, it has to be quick. Okay. Are you ready?
I'll try.
Okay. Red or yellow?
Ooh, red.
Red. Want to explain?
It's fiery.
Fiery, okay. Color of action, yeah. Nasi kandar or laksa Penang?
Or nasi kandar.
Nasi kandar always wins. Wow.
And it wins because there's so much variety, yeah?
United States of America or United Kingdom?
United Kingdom.
That's
I'm sorry, Mr. Trump has lost the plot. Huh?
Oh, this could be a part in our teaser. Project cost or project schedule?
Schedule.
Schedule.
You deliver on time, chances are you deliver on cost.
Oh, great answer. You leading one mega project or you lead a program with 1,000 projects?
I think I would get a bigger kick out of the program.
The program management.
The thousand mini projects, yeah. Because of the variety, yeah.
Yeah. BMW, Beamer, or Mercedes?
Mercedes, however, I'm driving my late father's E39. Why? It's just a class act.
So Mercedes it is. All right. Project management team or project management office?
Wow, susah.
PMT or PMO?
T.
T.
T. Because of the people. You need to look after your people.
Okay. This one may be a bit difficult. Slow rock or pop ballads?
Pop ballads.
Pop ballads. Okay.
I
Has it-
haven't got any thoughts on it because music's not my forte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
It would have been coffee until my doctors advised me to cut down my coffee. So I'm on one coffee a day. So today it's tea. Lah.
Okay. 100 million ringgit now given to you, or you can go back being 35 years old with the same knowledge now.
I think I will go back 35 years.
You skip the 100 million?
I'd skip the 100 million because, I mean, if I'm honest, genuinely honest, I probably need quite a lot of money right now. Maybe not as much as 100 million, but certainly the knowledge that I have, I would do things differently out there. You must bear in mind that I started out on my formal project management journey at age 51. So can you imagine if I knew what I knew at age 51, at age 35, what sort of damage I could do?
Yeah. But it's never too late. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. My father actually said that to me. Said it's never too late to start afresh.
That's a good one. Okay. Manchester United or Liverpool?
Unfortunately, Manchester United.
Why unfortunately? Could be
Because-
fortunate.
Because at least my family members are all Liverpool supporters. So I'm being crushed at home because Manchester United is not performing as well as it did. But my interest in Manchester United is not just spoken. I actually was a shareholder of Manchester United. So that's how deep my commitment to Manchester United was until it was bought out by I'm trying to remember the guys who bought it out. But
The American.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, this is the last question. It's an important question. There's no right and wrong, but please answer wisely. Okay, watching this episode of Borak Projex or premiere of the latest Keanu Reeves movie?
I probably lean towards looking at this, and I'll tell you why. Ever since you mentioned that you've got this program, I've been keeping tabs on what's going on, and I'm sure that what I would acquire as a result of looking at these various episodes is a lot of knowledge from all the seafoods experts that have sat in the same seat. So for me, I go back to what I said earlier: lifelong learning. I don't think a movie is going to cut it for me. It's not to say I won't watch, but I think if you can take box A or box B, I will go for box A.
That's a brilliant answer, by the way. So thank you, Bro Krishnan and Cik Krishnan.
My pleasure. Thank
for
you.
your valuable time and inspiring sharing in our studio here. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for this episode of Borak Projex, where we keep it real, relevant, and relentlessly project-driven. A massive thank you to our honorable guest, Cik Krishnan, for sharing his insights and experience that only multiple scars can bring. If you got value from this conversation, please like, follow, share, or give some comments. Do not keep excellence to yourself. I'm Alex Zulkarnain, signing off. Until next time, stay professional, work with integrity, stay excellent, and remember, project leaders aren't born. They are built one lesson at a time. All right. Thank you. Bye from Borak Projex. What's your take on that?
Sorry. I think kita tak boleh nak soalan ni. Bagi isu thing that.
Oh, okay.
Issue sana is okay lah. Issue sini is not okay.
Sounds
Okay, thank you.
What else besides just the knowledge on project management or skills that makes project fail? It's not just about the people, right? The whole ecosystem, there are flaws.
Thank you. Bye from Borak Projex.